ABC News, I'm Daria Aldinger. Former New York Congressman George Santos has pleaded guilty to wire fraud and identity theft. During an appearance today in federal court, the Republican lawmaker was expelled by his colleagues for lying about his education, career, family, and other matters. President Biden will give the keynote address on this first night of the Democratic National Convention.
This night is billed as one that will honor his legacy. We know that First Lady Dr. Jill Biden will speak as well, and it will be a kind of passing of the torch, is the phrase that has been so often used to describe tonight, from President Biden to Vice President Harris.
ABC's Jay O'Brien in Chicago. Former President Trump talked up his plans for the economy during a visit to a factory in York in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. The cleanup is now underway across much of the Northeast after last night's strong storms. Stocks closed higher today, the Dow up 237 points. This is ABC News.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
Hello, I'm Greg Figueroa.
And I'm David Figueroa. Over 30 years ago, my brother Greg and I set out on a mission to offer the world a better hot sauce.
That's right, David. We made Melinda's thicker, hotter, and better than ordinary hot sauces.
And now we have 32 exciting and delicious sauces that hot sauce fans are obsessed with, like our ghost pepper sauce, our Thai sweet chili, and our best-selling black truffle hot sauce.
Melinda's also has 5 spicy ketchups made with real sugar and no added junk like high fructose corn syrup. People ask David and I, what makes Melinda so good? That's easy. We think like chefs do. Instead of burning someone with hot peppers and vinegar, we use fresh plant-based ingredients and the finest chili peppers perfectly blended to set your mouth on flavor.
Go to melindas.com to find our line of craft condiments at Walmart and other fine retailers. And right now, get 20% off our award-winning sauces with code SPORTS at melindas.com. That's melindas.com. melindas.com.
Here we go! From the Nashville Sports Radio Media Complex, this is the George Plaster Show. Call George now at 615-844-5600 and online at WNSR.com. And now, George Plaster.
Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown, Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Kelly Holcomb, along with Young Gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's turned out to be a beautiful Monday in Nashville. Way less humid, much more pleasant as we welcome all of you in. Football season is upon us. Let's get right to it. Let's start in Murfreesboro with Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good, George. How you doing?
I'm good. Did you watch any football this weekend?
I did. I watched the Titans. I watched the Titans to see what was going on, see how they looked, see what I know we're going to talk about that quite a bit, but had a nice little come from behind victory in the preseason, but it just reminds me once again that I hate preseason football these days. Don't like it.
Did you see Mahomes behind the back pass?
I did not. I didn't see that.
Oh my God.
Was it nice?
Woo, it was sweet. It was right on the money.
He's good with that stuff. I mean, he's the most off-rhythm guy that you can be and still make plays. I mean, that's, I've talked about it so much on this show. That's what makes great quarterbacks and a good quarterback that can't make those plays. I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over, and he's those off rhythm plays that he makes when he's running around. He can throw the ball behind his back. He can throw it underhanded. I mean, he throw it. We've seen him throw it with his left hand. I mean, the guy just makes plays.
Billy, we will never see that in a regular season game.
I don't know. I mean, he threw one with his left hand, so maybe he's planning to pull the old behind the back out sometime.
He's an amazing athlete. Okay, Let's get to the Titans stuff. Terry McCormick handles our daily Titans update, and he joins us from his palatial mansion. Terry, how are you?
Good, George. How are you?
Good. Let's start with injury-wise. How'd they come out of this?
Well, a few dings here and there. They had Otis Reese and Jabari Small both land in the concussion protocol. Josh Wiley is also there as a result of the organized team activities. TK McClendon had a little bit of turf toe going. And let's see, there's a couple of others here. If I could just get it called up real quick, I can tell you. One I know is that Kyle Phillips has a hamstring issue that's probably going to keep him out this week, and that certainly is not good news for him as he tries to salvage his roster spot. So let's see. There's a couple of other guys here on this list. Let me get to them real quickly. George, looks like Chidobe Awuzie won't play this week, but is getting closer to returning. And Kearis Jackson has a knee bruise. So that looks like a complete update on the injury front.
Okay, let me toss out a question that some people are wondering about. When you have a young guy blast home a 59-yarder with room to spare, is there now a kicking competition?
No, I don't think so, because this guy's been kind of inconsistent in practice, to be honest with you. There was one day where he missed 3 times, I think it was, but he did look good the other night. So he might be a guy that you'd want to stash on the practice squad just in case something were to happen to Nick Folk, who I think is going to make $3 million a year, and that may be guaranteed money, I think, George. So that's another reason working in his favor. And then this Braden Narvison kid, if you can develop him and next year you want to give him a go at it, all the more. That's a good idea. But right now, I don't think so.
Isn't it amazing, though? I grew up in an era where you never saw much past 52 yards. And now if you can't get it there from 60, they think you're dead meat.
Yeah, it sure has changed in that regard. I mean, there was the guy for the Cowboys who made a 66-yarder the other night, the same night.
I was watching it, and he made it with room to spare. It's shocking. Okay, so give me a couple of thoughts on people who you think helped themselves over the weekend, and is there one or two you don't think helped themselves?
Well, I think Jaquan Jackson certainly helped himself. He continues to make plays as a wide receiver. He is really looks like he's moved ahead of the competition with his not only with his receiving but his return skills as well. I think he's going to be the 6th receiver on this team, and when you get down to that, that means that Kyle Phillips, Mason Kinsey, and Kearis Jackson are fighting for maybe one spot if they keep a 7th receiver. Another guy that I really like, I don't know that he's going to make the roster, is this David Martin Robinson, this tight end out of Temple. Looks really good blocking, good job catching the ball and running with it once he gets it in his hands. It's unlikely that they'd keep a 4th tight end, but he certainly is turning some heads over there. And then another guy that is making headway is Chance Campbell. 2nd straight good game for him. He just needs to stay healthy. 2nd game in a row, he's had 8 tackles. As far as, some people whose stock are down, like I said, the receiver room just may be crowded. Anybody on that 2nd-team offensive line other than maybe Daniel Brunskill has got to start feeling a little bit shaky after the way they kind of played in the first half the other night. I just didn't feel like that, the cohesion was there. There was a lot of penalties and things like that kind of hurt them early on. And then also, and I know you guys are going to talk about this probably quite a bit during this hour, George, but I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I thought Malik Willis looked better, but I don't know if he was better enough, if that makes sense, because Mason Rudolph clearly has a hold on the number 2 job. And Malik Willis, I'm not sure he showed them enough yet to convince them that he needs to be the 3rd guy on the 53-man roster.
Okay, you've been reading the previews, Terry. Let's just say that Kelly and I will bat that one back and forth when we get into our Titans analysis. As always, appreciate the visit.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That's Terry McCormick and his daily Titans update. Billy, do you have an update of some substance?
It's got some substance today.
Yeah, we've heard
some
that
interesting pieces today. It's all brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgagelady.usa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. All right, we're starting in the NFL. The Commanders finally made it official. Jaden Daniels, this just in, is their starting quarterback. And the backup, Marcus Mariota, who, you guessed it, has struggled to stay healthy, 100% healthy so far up to this point. So no shock, Jaden Daniels is the guy in Washington. Also, former Texas quarterback Colt McCoy has retired from football and is moving to the broadcast booth. His NFL career lasted 14 seasons, 5 different teams. He's going to be an analyst for NBC during Big Ten games. He'll make his debut during the Colorado-Nebraska game.
I bet he does well.
Yeah, he's who knows, but I feel like he'll do a good job. Obviously, a great career at Texas. Also in college football, Circus Sports released their latest Week 0 and Week 1 odds. Florida State -11 against Georgia Tech.
Okay, is this supposed to be new news? Because these odds have been out here for 2 months.
No, these are the updated odds.
Oh,
These are the latest odds.
Really?
Minnesota, which is interesting, -2.5 against North Carolina, which is not good news for North Carolina. They can't. I don't think they can afford to lose that one. But they struggled last year down the stretch as well. Georgia -13.5 against Clemson. Penn State -10 against West Virginia. Miami is a 2-point favorite at Florida. A lot of road favorites is what you're seeing. Virginia Tech -13 against Vandy. A&M -2.5 against Notre Dame. And A&M is a trendy pick to win that one over Notre Dame. LSU -6 against USC in Vegas. So those are the updated lines there. Also in Major League Baseball, after an MRI this morning, Braves third baseman Austin Riley has been diagnosed with a fractured right hand and will miss 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh.
He was hit by a 97-mile-per-hour pitch on Sunday.
I'll say it the way it is.
Coming.
Okay? When you hear somebody give you that next man up, after a while, it's BS. Okay? You can't sustain all this stuff that they're trying to sustain and sit there and give it one of those, all is fine, remain calm.
We've done this before.
Yeah, well, whatever.
That's
this
too many
is
injuries.
A killer. The fact that you can even, on August the 15th, in this case the 19th, even say they're in contention for a wild card berth, is dadgum near a miracle.
Yeah, I don't know how they're still in contention. They're 2 games in front of the Mets for the final spot in the wild card. But they also made a move. They activated all-star right-handed pitcher Reynaldo Lopez. So maybe he can provide a spark for the Bravos. They sent down Jimmy Herget to Gwinnett.
Who could not provide a spark.
No. Also in the NHL, locally with the Preds, goaltender Yaroslav Askarov has requested a trade.
I'm not shocked.
He don't want to go back to Milwaukee.
Well, I think what he's sort of saying is, what's the point?
Right.
I think he thought he was the goaltender of this team's future. Sort of at the 11th hour, they got a deal done with UC, and, that's going to be a while, and I think he's sitting there saying, what's my hope here? Now, should he have done it behind closed doors? Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, Kevin Weeks came out with a video on Twitter and basically just released what went down. So Saros, new deal. Askarov looking for a new home, probably.
Yeah,
so.
probably. But they're going to do it on their time and when they get proper value.
Yeah. In golf, on the verge of a collapse, I was watching this yesterday. Hideki Matsuyama, who we talked about, was robbed in London and during a stopover before getting to Memphis. Well, he won the FedEx St. Jude Championship. He rolled in a 25-foot birdie putt on the 17th hole. He regained the lead, and then he hit one more birdie to win it. But he did not look like he was going to win, Kelly. He was very close. He could have easily lost that one, and he jumped up in the FedEx Cup standings. So all of a sudden, he's in good shape now, whereas you thought it was either going to be Hovland or Schauffele or even Scheffler, but Matsuyama jumps up and wins it.
I tell you what, man, this FedEx Cup deal that they've done, it's been many years now, but it does bring some excitement to the game. I mean, you got to be in the top 50. If you're not in the top 50, your season's over. And then I think next week after that, they've got to be in the top 30. So, I mean, it does, because there's a lot of guys on the bubble. There was a lot of guys. A lot of those guys talked about it. They got inside the bubble, and then they messed up at the end. And then it's a pretty cool deal, and it kind of brings some excitement to the game of golf.
In a related note, I knocked home a 10-foot putt a few days ago for par. And let me say this about the speed of the putt. Had it not gone dead center, it'd have gone about 15 feet past the pin. Thank you. I'm just telling the truth.
Was that your 46, George?
Yes, it was, which was I'm not going to say non-cheating 46, because in my opinion, when it comes to golf, if you don't cheat, you're cheating yourself.
It's one of the most noble sports out there, George, and you cheated.
And proudly, I've been doing it for years.
You got to shake everybody's hand at the end of the match. I mean, what are we doing?
No, there was no match.
No
you act like I'm playing at Augusta.
I'm just saying, though, it's golf, man. You can't cheat,
Look,
George.
Who cares?
Okay.
With my game, do you think anybody gives a damn?
No, not really,
Well,
especially when
then
you shoot a 46 on 7.
It was on 9. And I was pretty excited that we got under the 50 mark.
Broke 50.
Yes, we did.
And he hits from the ladies' tees, though.
No, I did not
hit.
I did not hit from the ladies' tees.
I mean, good gracious, I could hit a sand wedge or a 56 degree to the green, and this he's using a driver.
Although I'll say this, if it would help, I'm open to it.
Just gracious.
Okay, after the break, I don't think they want to hear about my golf game, but after the break, they do want to hear about Saturday's analysis. Seahawks, Titans went down to the final play of the game, and the big question is, what about Malik Willis? We will answer it when we come back. You're listening to the George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It is time for Kelly Holcomb's Tennessee Titans analysis, and let's get right to it. Kelly, there's sort of a mixed bag of stuff when you try to analyze Malik Willis because first, you know full well from his days at Liberty that he was given the freedom, a little bit like Steve McNair was at Alcorn State, to kind of move around, improvise, draw stuff up in the sand and see how it works. And there's also the belief, and I happen to be a huge proponent of this, he wasn't coached worth a damn for 2 years in the Mike Vrabel environment. And so he comes into year 3 with a new coaching staff that's actually going to make the forward pass a priority. He gets this big situation Saturday where it appeared to me it was designed to sort of help them make a real evaluation on him. And like Terry, I just didn't think he got enough done to say, okay, there will be a day soon where he's a 2. I don't see it.
George, you know this is hard for me. I've always said on the show that I'm not overly critical on quarterbacks because I understand how hard the game is. There's just so many variables that go into it. There's so many situational things that go into it. But the other night, we talked about it this morning. I was thinking this when I was watching the game, and I feel this way. Former players feel this way. Fans sometimes feel this way. You're the guys on your team. The guys on your team always know. I've told you that. Players always know. But with that being said, I just there's a sense of calmness when Mason Rudolph was in the game. There was a sense of calmness. I mean, he's been there. He's been experienced. Now, he hadn't played a great deal of football, especially in the last 4 years. But, last year he came in and he played really well, and he got the Steelers back to the playoffs, which was an unbelievable task. But it just seems like when he's in the game, and you feel this about starting quarterbacks. You feel now some starting quarterbacks you don't, but you know, you got a Peyton, you got a Tom Brady, you got a Drew Brees, you got a Aaron Rodgers. You know, it's under control. Now, are they going to make bad plays? Absolutely. But when Mason Rudolph was in the game, I just felt like, hey, he feels comfortable. He's operating the offense. He looks like he's in sync with everybody. When Malik Willis got into the game, it's just in the back of your mind. There's a sense of uneasiness. And you just think, like, Mason Rudolph is going to make the play. Malik Willis is going to mess it up at some point. And his numbers look good, but, you know, that last drive that he had before Mason Rudolph brought him back and kicked the field goal, that last drive he had, now it was all spurred on by, Terry talked about it, the bad play in the offensive line. They get a holding penalty on the offensive line is a drive killer. It's hard enough to get 10 yards. You start out 1st and 10, and then on the first down play, you get a penalty. 1st and 20, I'm sure the percentages, I'd like to see the percentages like Jim Moore used to put up there on the board with us. But I guarantee you, 1st and 20, you know, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you're not making that. It's tough enough to get 10 yards, and then you go 1st and 20. All they had to do, because it's late in the game, you know, that's kind of a 4-minute situation where you're just trying to run the clock out. And when you get a holding penalty like that and backs you up, now you're kind of under the gun. And, you know, the first run play, not very good. The second time they used a quarterback draw, and I think he got 12 yards on that, which he's really good at that. But then the third down play, there comes a time in a game where you as a quarterback have to make a play. And that's the one that he got picked off. And you know, he had thrown the ball up until that point really good. I mean, I say this, George, you can see improvement. You can from when he first came in the league. I mean, he's not trying to take off running. You can tell that he's made a conscientious effort to stay in the pocket. I mean, he's keeping his eyes downfield when there's guys around him. He stepped up a couple of times. He kept his eyes downfield, a couple of throws he made. But on that last play that he was in the game, you have to make that play. And he throws the ball high and it gets intercepted. So I don't know. I hate it for him. I just feel that. I feel like when Mason Rudolph was in the game, everything was good. But then when Malik Willis is in the game, and I hate saying this, George, because I've been there, but there's just a sense of uneasiness there that something is going to happen, and most of the time it's not good. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. I really don't. I think they gave him an opportunity the other day. And like I said, other than that interception, he played pretty good. But, you know, a lot of times one play can make a game. I mean, and I'm going to say it again. At some point in a game, the quarterback has to step up and make a play. Now, there's some games. I remember when I was playing in Cleveland and we played against the Arizona Cardinals, and you know, everything was going our way. You know, I was throwing the ball. We were blocking. Now, they weren't the greatest team, but, like, you know, I think I almost threw for 400 yards. There was no time in that game that there was ever any doubt of the game. And you know, we made plays along the way, but there was no pressing play. But most of the time, especially in today's game, a quarterback and an offense has to make a play when it comes nut-cutting time. And the other night, he had an opportunity to really seal the deal for himself, I think, being on that team. But I think one throw cost him. And I don't know what you do with that, George. I really don't. It's because he's a great athlete. And I even told you this morning, like, you know, he's one of those guys, like, I was a quarterback. My son's a quarterback. There's guys, Peyton was a quarterback. Like, we couldn't play anything else, but we were good quarterbacks. But he's big. He can run. He's thicker. I don't know what else you could do with him. I mean, there's something else you could do with him, but right now, man, you have to make those plays, and he just can't do it.
Okay, let me veer a little bit ahead of myself, because at some point here, after these 3 preseason games are over, Brian Callahan, the GM, Rand Carthon, the assistant coaches will all have to weigh in on this. Yep. And to me, the only way they can keep Malik Willis and justify it is to say, listen, for 2 years, this man was coached by some bumbling idiots.
That's right.
Okay. Yes, I am thinking of Todd
And I know where
Downing.
you're going with this.
Okay, but Callahan's sitting there in a much more sophisticated passing game. Is there a point where he says to Ran Carthon, let's give it one more year. I believe that I can smooth out a lot of the rough edges in this young guy?
He could. I mean, he absolutely could. And there's things that go on in a game, George, that we don't know. I mean, we don't know the protections. We don't know some of the situation. We don't know if the receiver ran a wrong route. But, you know, when you load that barrel and you shoot that gun, like, you have to know where that ball's going. And, you know, you can't throw it high. First of all, receivers cannot stand the ball high over the middle because that's when you get knocked out. And, you know, it was one of those great times in his young career. As you know, even though it was a preseason game, he had an opportunity to solidify this deal. And, you know, if he does, then they get to run the clock out, and Mason Rudolph doesn't come back in the game and doesn't take them down in 2 minutes and you know, get them in position to win the game, to hit the game-winning field goal. So you kind of keep Mason Rudolph at bay, and then you kind of show what you can do, and you finish the game right then. So it's a tough evaluation deal. I can see that happening, George. I can see them getting rid of him, and I can see them also saying, hey, this guy's got something. You know, we've only been with him, you know, for a couple of months now. I think we can do something with him. Let us coach him a little bit longer and see if it. But at some point, you know, I told you got to fish or cut bait, and you know, I know this is the coach's first go around with him. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens. But I can see it going both ways. I just wish he would have made that throw because his numbers were not bad. I mean, they weren't bad.
Right.
But, you know, you just that one play can make a game. That one play can make a career. It's just, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me to say because I'm never going to be overly critical of quarterbacks. Because I know how hard it is. I hate it for him. But, you know, it's 3 years. You got to, at some point, we got to come on.
Is my argument, if a Callahan says to a Ran Carthon, look, he hadn't been coached worth a damn. I'm going to smooth him out this year. Let's keep him.
Yeah.
Kelly, I don't see any other argument you can make for him. Do you?
No, I do not. I mean, I can see that happening, though. I really can, because the guy is talented, man. He's got some athleticism, but you can't get away in the pros what you could in college. And he went to Liberty. You know, he started out at Auburn, went to Liberty, and Hugh Freeze allowed him, you know, just go make plays, man. You know, that's what, you know, when I was in Minnesota, you know, I started and, you know, we had our game plan and we had our playbook, and then, you know, we had never practiced, you know, hot routes and stuff like that. And we had an athletic guy that was playing before me, and then he gets injured and I go in and I start, you know, like 3 or 4 games in a row. And the first time I went up there, I said, look here, man, I need to meet with you. It was our offensive coordinator. And I said, you know, in the book, we've got hot routes here. But we've never practiced those hot routes. Do these guys understand that if this guy comes, he's supposed to? I said, yeah, but we've never practiced it. He was like, well, go make a play. And I'm like, have you seen me run? I'm not making a play like that. I've got to use my brain, and I got to know who's blocked. And if they're not blocked, I need these receivers to know that they got to break their route off, because I am not going to sit back there and hold the ball. So, you know, he's athletic. He can do things like that, but I don't know. It was all there for him the other night. He started. He played the first quarter. You know, Mason Rudolph, you know, his first time in, he went down and scored a touchdown. I think he got a field goal in there. He might have got another field goal. I don't know, but he was impressive on his drives.
Well, first of all, anybody who believed there was a quarterback competition between Mason Rudolph and Malik Willis was fooling themselves, because the Titans showed their hand when they went out and signed Mason Rudolph. It was them saying, we don't trust Malik Willis. Okay? That's the reason they went and signed him. And secondly, this guy has won multiple big games in the NFL. Okay?
Yeah.
This guy is not chopped liver. Now, I thought he looked nervous in week 1. Saturday, He looked cool, calm, and collected and looked like he knew exactly what was going on.
I don't, everybody gets nerves. Everybody has nerves. Everybody's anxious before a game because you don't want to get blasted on SportsCenter for throwing 4 picks. But sometimes you feel that I don't know. It's just like the day. It's whatever's going on. You feel uneasy. I don't know. And Tom Moore used to tell us all the time, if you're prepared, then you don't really. You're going to be anxious, but you don't feel uneasy about stuff. And if you know what's going on, then you have an answer for stuff. And sometimes it just, sometimes they show you a little something, or sometimes you just don't feel right about what's going on. And you look at, you have to get involved. You have to get kind of a flow into the game. And I think that's probably kind of what happened to him in the first game. But the other night, man, I felt that watching the game, George. I've already said it, but I felt like a sense of calmness, of easiness. And he hasn't played a lot of football, but he's played enough to come in and he can win some games for you, just like he did with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Mike Tomlin has still yet to have a losing season at the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is incredible.
Okay, this is a question fans will ask because they see it. There are times in the drop back passing world where Malik Willis appears to hold the ball way too long. I'm convinced that clock that you got to have as a quarterback that says, I damn well better get rid of this or something bad's about to happen. Kelly, I'm not convinced that clock works very well with him.
I've told you this before. He's kind of got the Tim Tebow effect. Tim Tebow, when he was in college, he was able to get away with this because he could move around. But, in the pros, he wanted to see guys open before he threw it. And when you're in the National Football League, you have to throw guys open. You have to find windows. You have to throw the ball on time. And that is not Malik Willis's forte. I mean, he's got to get better with that. He's got to, when you're throwing a slant route and you got a linebacker, you got 2 linebackers there and they go that way. Well, there's a hole in between those linebackers. You got to throw it on. You got to throw it off the the first guy's ear and get it in there before the second guy gets there. So you've got to anticipate things like that. And I just don't think he's not that guy of anticipating. He's been able to, in high school, he's been able to, use his athleticism and run around, and then guys get open because you can't cover him forever. And that's what he did when he was at Liberty. But now, in the National Football League, you got guys up front in the defensive line. They can get pressure on you. They can run just as fast as you can. And then you just can't do the kind of things that you did in college. And, for his third year, he should be a little bit more advanced than he is. But with that being said, I think he's gotten better. I just don't know if it's good enough, George.
Okay, I want to get your opinion on this. And admittedly, my opinion's a little jaded because I've learned over 25 years, pay little or no attention to preseason football. Yeah. They are 2-0, which I don't think means anything. But what do you see about them, good or bad, that you think does mean something?
Offense. I think they got players. Now, let me say this, and I told you this. I'm going to go a little Herm Edwards here for a split second. I cannot stand when guys do not dress out for the game. They're in street clothes and they got a hat on. I can't stand it. I don't understand that. I don't know why coaches do that. Like, you're part of the team. I mean, we know you're not playing. We know you're one of the upper echelon players of the league. We get it, but put your suit on. You carry your helmet out there. You can go sit it over there. You're not playing. That gets on every bit of my nerves, George. Now, with that being said, I like what they do offensively. It's kind of like what I was in offensively. They have answers. It's a system where they can get rid of the football. You don't have to have a lot of blocking for that, and you can get rid of the football. That's what I like. I think they got guys at every position. I'm like Terry. I like those 2 young tight ends. The one that's not drafted from Temple, man, he can run. He's not bad, and he can block too. So, you always like guys like that because that's how I came into the league. I mean, it all depends on what Will Levis does. I mean, he's obviously had a good camp so far. He looked really good in the first preseason game. I like what he did. I think he's talked to people. I like his demeanor. I don't think he's as emotional as he was. I think he's he took some check downs in the first game, which that shows a sign of maturity right there, not trying to go downfield, just taking what the defense gives you, which I hear that in my sleep sometimes. Just make the defense work, son. Complete passes. That's what Tom used to tell us all the time. And if it's not there, it's 1, 2, 3, throw it in the stands. And that's what he used to tell. But that's what I see with this offense. I mean, I really like the timing of the offense. They get rid of the football. I do like that. I've told you this. I like what the defense is doing. I mean, I don't think the defense got kind of torched in the first. That's 2 first quarters that they hadn't looked really well. But it's back again. Jeffrey Simmons is not in there. Devondre Sweat's not in there. They got linebackers that are not in there. Their DBs are not all in there. So, it's hard to kind of tell. But I do like what Denard Wilson's doing, man. He's not going to sit back and be, watch the game go by and not do anything. He's going to force the issue, and I love that. I really do. I like forcing the issue, and he's going to get people up in your face. Now, whether they can do that during the regular season all the time, I don't know. We'll see. But I just like putting pressure on a quarterback and making him make a decision, a split decision. Can you do it or can you not? So I do like that about their defense. Special teams wise, I think they're pretty good. Especially with that young kid. It's funny that you asked Terry that about the young kid that did all that, that kicked all those kicks. I was like, man, that's all good. But when I was watching the game, I'm like, that's all good. But I'm sorry, fella, you ain't making the team. Because you got Nick Folk, and Nick Folk I'm sure he was in that situation a long time ago, but the guy's experienced. He's kicked game-winning field goals. It's not going to happen. Plus, he's getting paid. So it's, unless something happens to him like happened to Ryan Stonehouse last year, it's not going to matter.
Okay, we'll go to the break on that, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more and sort of ask the question, okay, based on what you've seen, what are realistic expectations for this team? Stay with us as you listen to the George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM. As you might be able to tell, my buddy Stan Harrison, he's an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, but he's actually here to talk about Apple Collision Centers.
Hello, Middle Tennessee. I'm Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers, and we understand the stress it causes in having an automobile accident. We can help you ease the stress of the auto body repair process at our 3 locations. We're conveniently located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. We've got rental cars available, we have PDR technicians available, and we have windshield technicians available. Please stop by one of our places and see us if you need our services.
And by the way, when you come in his office, this just in, he's a sports fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
If you're having plumbing issues, there's only one guy to call. That's Adam Whitehead. As a third-generation plumber, Adam was born and raised right here in Bellevue. Customers praise his professionalism, efficiency, and personability. Adam is known for his prompt response to emergencies and for providing high-quality repairs at reasonable prices. His expertise extends to various plumbing issues, including sink leaks, dishwasher installations, and outdoor water issues. Call him at 615-485-1534. That's 615-485-1534.
Well, one of the problems with whatever discussions you have in August is that if you run them back in November, you can look like an absolute fool because so many things can change between now and then. But let me throw it at both of you. It feels like the whole what are the Titans going to be simply comes down to Will Levis.
Yeah.
I think he comes. Sorry, Billy, but I think he comes down to Will Levis plus how the offensive line plays. I mean, can I think their left side, is we don't know about J.C. Latham is a rookie. I mean, he's still going to have his struggles. I mean, let's be honest. Right side, who is the right tackle? I mean, is it going to be the Petit Friere guy? I mean, we don't know that, but a lot of it has, obviously it all boils down to Will Levis, but can they protect him and can they keep some pressure off of him with running the football, which I don't know that yet. I will say this. I am so intrigued in some of I think Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan has done a really good job of putting good players at every position where guys have to compete. And when you have to compete, when there's pressure on you, you either, like Coach Donnelly said, son, you're going to step up to the licking block. And that's kind of what it is. I mean, are you going to step up to the competition or are you going to shy away from the competition? And when you get competition like they've got at every position, it makes everybody else better because they know, hey, I've got Calvin Ridley over here or I've got some. These dudes are good. Like, am I going to step my game up or am I just going to just give into it? So the one that I'm talking about is the running back position, man. I think they've got 5 really good running backs. Now you can put Jabari Small on the practice squad. You might be able to do it with the other guys. The practice squad stuff's crazy now, but I think that Julius Chestnut kid's pretty good. I even think Hassan Haskins is a good player. So what they're both good on special teams too. So your top 2, but then after that, I mean, and then with what's going to happen as receivers, I think. I don't know. There's just a lot of good competition on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be better. I think we all know that. But are they playoff better? That's what I'm waiting on. Can they – because the division is good. The Texans are going to be good again. The Jaguars aren't going to be as bad as they were last year. I mean, maybe they do. But
if you go back 2 years ago, Billy, the improvement in the division is stunning.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I still don't believe in Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. I don't think he's very good. But the Jags and the Texans are going to be hard to beat both times. I mean, let's face it. I think the Jags and Titans is going to be a good matchup this year. Texans, that'll be a test for the Titans defense. I've not been impressed with the Titans defensive front. Now it's the preseason, and Simmons and the starters haven't played a ton. The Arden Key news, forgot to throw that in here. What is it called? He won his appeal. So,
well, according to Jeffrey Simmons, he's won his appeal.
Yes.
Nobody else has come with anything.
No, and that's where you're skeptical a little bit. But
because I can't remember, Kelly, a player who ever won a drug suspension appeal.
I know that's kind of amazing, and that's a huge. Like if he's told Jeffrey Simmons that, then he obviously knows something. He's heard something about it. So, I mean, that might be credible, but I don't know if they get him back. Man, that's a huge cog in the wheel right there, for sure.
Yeah, and back to the offense, it's so new. Everything is so new. The players are new. A lot of the receiver room is new. What they're running is going to be brand new. Is year one more of a let's test this out and let's see what works? And because I know a lot of people are excited about the offense, but it's still going to take some time, Kelly, because D-Hop hasn't practiced in the last couple of weeks. You got to get your chemistry down. A lot of what we've heard, especially from Terry, is that Levis to Ridley isn't as automatic as you might expect. Now, it's the preseason. I just wonder, especially Callahan in year one as a head coach, too. I'm interested to see if there's any deer in the headlights type when it comes to making a big call. I'm not expecting that, but there's a lot of newness that you just don't have answers to yet.
Now here's the deal too. Preseason is, which I've come to the conclusion that I'm not a fan of preseason anymore. I don't like it. But once the preseason's over, they're trying to get all these guys reps. Once the preseason's over, then when you go to practice, man, the starting guys are going to get the reps. I mean, you might give Mason Rudolph a couple just to keep him kind of in there and focused and let him play with some guys. But for the most part, Will Levis, all those guys are going to be together. So they're going to start, they've been getting reps now, obviously. But, it's a different deal when the season comes along because, obviously the coach, hey, we're not worried about, it's kind of a sad deal, but we're not worried about these guys. We got these guys. Yeah. We got to get them ready. We got to get them to playing. So it's a different kind of vibe when the regular season starts.
Although I will say this, the odds are at some point you're going to have Mason Rudolph in there. The odds of a quarterback staying healthy the full 17, not very good.
Especially with the way Will Levis plays.
It's tough. Exactly. That's what I was going to say, Billy, especially the way he plays and trying to run over guys, which I think he'll be a little bit more cautious when he gets to the regular season. But, that's how, Peyton, Tom Brady, those guys understood the game. That's why you have to stay in those film rooms all those nights and all those long hours because you need to know what's happening. Now, offensive line-wise is key on that, but get rid of the foot. Don't hold on to the football. And if you have to use your feet and your legs to get a first down, protect yourself because these guys on the defense are trained killers, and if they can get you out of the game, that's going to help them. Let's be honest.
Well, and they know Levis likes to run and lower his shoulder, so they're going to be looking for that. So
I'm sure he's been talked to about that.
Yeah. Especially
more than once.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. After the break, we will have stat of the day. Billy, am I right? We were 2-3 last week.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly even got one.
Wow. Kelly,
hey,
you
Bruce,
take that?
Baby, don't overthink it. Billy told me not to overthink it. I didn't.
Was that a positive, or was he taking a shot at you?
It don't matter. We got it. Who cares if he was taking a shot at me? I got big shoulders. I mean, people have taken shots at me my whole life. Who cares, George?
You've taken a few as well. Okay. We'll come back, see if we can go 1-0 for the young week. Stick around. You're listening to The George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM.
Good afternoon. We have seen a couple of wrecks out here in the last 15-20 minutes. Moving a little bit better on 65 North just before Vietnam Vets on the scene of that earlier crash up there causing some rubbernecking, trying to get up through the Madison area. All the major outbound routes right now are pretty heavy. So is 24 going eastbound as you work your way out through Antioch on into Murfreesboro, Rutherford County. Princess Hot Chicken has new items. Check them out on their menu, princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. And visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you need to contact Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you are a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. Check them out today at pancoastbenefits.com or call 615-292-3400.
Are you ready for a touchdown of flavor and excitement? Look no further than Sam's Place and Sam's Sports Grill, the ultimate destination for great food, fantastic drinks, and game time atmosphere that will have you cheering for more. Sam's is the place for every sports fan and food lover with over 40 TVs at every location. Sam's has a family-friendly atmosphere where everyone can have a blast. From their friendly staff to awesome kids menu, they've got something for everyone. Online at samsplace.net or samsportsgrill.com, or call and find the nearest location to you. At Sam's, the game is always on and the fun never stops.
It's JB and the Generals.
Coach of the Vanderbilt baseball team, Tim Corbin.
You just got to see guys leave after 4 or 5 years that have thrust everything into your program. Yeah, it's difficult. I think it's why our program is a little bit different. It's why it's unique. It's why it's special. There's a family component to it that's very real that not everyone else has.
Weekdays 9 to 11, live on WNSR.
Week 0, game week, college football, Florida State and Georgia Tech, Saturday at 11 a.m. in Ireland. We'll talk a little Florida State coming up with Butch Samide, but first stat of the day brought to you by, that's not better than, got my segments mixed up. Stat of the day brought to you by
Kelly.
That's a C note.
That's a C note. That's a $100 fine. It's going into the cubby because we're going to eat somewhere, Billy.
Stat of the day is brought to you by Adam Whitehead Plumbing here in Nashville. If you got issues with your water heaters, bathrooms, kitchen sinks, water, or sewer lines, give Adam a call, 615-485-1534. All right, we're going baseball today. Last night during the MLB game at the Little League World Series, Clay Holmes blew his 10th save of the season. Which closer blew the most saves last season?
Good luck, George. Good luck.
One name that comes to mind right off the bat is Craig Kimbrell.
That's a good one.
Yeah, who did not
where was he last year?
Distinguish himself necessarily.
He was at Philly.
He's now with the Orioles and struggling again, which disappoints me as a Braves fan.
As a former Brave.
Yes, I've got.
Yes.
I'm trying to think what else is out there that's obvious. I'm going with Craig Kimbrell.
Well, you, George, are incorrect. It's Emmanuel Clase.
Emmanuel Clase. Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
12. Is that a crazy number? It doesn't seem like it.
Well, first of all, it does seem crazy for him because at times when I watch this guy, he's been lights out.
He's been good this year.
He's really good.
I've seen him a couple of times. He's like unhittable when he's on, is he not?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't know he had 12. Do you have a list of them?
I don't have the list currently with me.
I bet Kimbrell was close.
I'm sure Kimbrell was close.
Kimbrell owns some land down in Bedford County
sure
in
does.
Shepville. Yeah, he does. I met him a couple of years ago.
Good man. He's a Brave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Billy, real quickly, let's put up there what we're doing a week from basically this hour. Herm Edwards is going to join us live and in person here at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue next Monday at 5 o'clock. We're going to do this in front of a live studio audience and have a lot of fun with him, take a lot of questions out of the audience. If you want to be a part of this, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. It's a free event. He's an awesome speaker. You're going to want to join us. Hour number 2 is coming up next on 95.9 FM.
ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. President Biden will give the keynote address on this first night of the Democratic National Convention, in which he'll symbolically pass the torch on to his vice president, Kamala Harris. Disgraced former New York Congressman George Santos has pleaded guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft as part of a plea deal with federal prosecutors.
He will go to prison for at least 2 years. He will be required to forfeit the money he made illegally, and he will be required to repay the victims that he swindled.
Brian Peace, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. A senior Hamas official says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's talk of approving the proposal, which was outlined by President Biden, means that the U.S. could not convince Netanyahu of a previous ceasefire and hostage release deal that Hamas had already agreed to back in July. Talk show host Phil Donahue has died. This is ABC News.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it, the price of everything is going up, and if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio. From the Nashville Sports Radio Media Complex. Welcome back to the George Plaster Show. Call George now at 615-844-5600 and online at WNSR.com. And now, George Plaster.
Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown, Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Kelly Holcomb, along with Young Gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
It is time for hour number 2 of the show, and it is hard to believe, but the college football season begins this Saturday. It involves a game in Dublin, Ireland at 11 o'clock in the morning. There it is, Georgia Tech, Florida State. That's 11 o'clock in the morning, Nashville time. So you got to get up early.
Probably the best week 0 game we've had since week 0 was a thing.
Who was it Notre Dame ripped up a year ago there? It was Navy.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Northwestern, who was it? Who'd they play last year?
Nebraska?
No, or a couple of years ago. That
Couple
was
of
the
years
beginning
ago.
of the end for Scott Frost.
Anyway, let's find out how it all happened. Our buddy Butch Samide, Florida State student. I believe he is now a junior. He's gotten a haircut. Looks like some things have grown over here. Butch, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? And I'm sorry to correct you this early, but I actually graduated with my first degree over this past summer.
Well, excuse me. You know,
Wow, big time.
His first degree.
First degree. Going
So,
back for another one.
Can I ask a question? Why?
Absolutely. That's a great one, George. That's a great one. But, it seems like everyone's getting their bachelor's nowadays. So I figured if I'm a master of something on paper, that'll mean something to somebody.
So are you in Tallahassee as we speak?
Yes. So the reason I'm in a car, I've been back and forth from a new move-in day, new apartment today. So I've been a lot of car trips so far today.
Yeah, try to behave. I mean, make Battleground Academy proud. Unlike Billy, they have disowned him at Ryan.
Excuse me?
Gives no money,
We beat y'all in the scrimmage earlier.
Has no clout. Has no clout.
I've got more clout than you know, Kelly.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
So, Butch, how did Florida State get in this game? How does one end up in Dublin?
Well, I'd be lying if I said I knew the exact reasoning behind it, but from hearing Mike Norvell talk about it, he was inspired by kind of the classic Bobby Bowden way of playing anybody anywhere. And so he wants to be on national TV. That's his goal. He wants people to see the Florida State football product. And you look at it over the past several years, I mean, there's been examples of playing Louisville at Louisville on a Friday to get a national TV game. This year, they played Duke at Duke on a Friday to get a national televised game. They played Boston College, their first home game, on the Monday after Labor Day in an effort to try to get more national coverage. So, I mean, Mike Norvell's very creative when he puts together the schedule. And this isn't even his first week 0 game in an effort to get more eyes on Florida State football, throughout a consistent season. So now I'd be lying if I said X, Y, and Z are the exact 3 reasons Mike Norvell wanted to take his team to Dublin. But just from hearing him speak many times about how he likes to schedule his games, Bobby Bowden's legacy plays a huge part in that.
Okay, so this year, Florida State, basically with a new quarterback, a transfer, DJ Ungalale. Yeah, whatever. Ukulele, whatever. The book on him, as you know, has been Butch sort of, who knows? The good DJ, really physical, can throw it through a wall, but then you run through these periods of time with him where you're like, I'm not sold. How sold are they on him?
Man, everyone at Florida State believes in him. I think that this current group of receivers might be the best he's ever had. I think that, just having Mike Norvell, the connection he has with him. And if you look back even to his Memphis days, Mike Norvell loves big arm, bigger bodied quarterbacks. And that's exactly what DJ is. He got to Florida State. I won't forget it. He got there measured 6'5", 235. That's a massive dude, and his arm, he can make any throw you want. And it'll be interesting because statistically, if you look back to Clemson and Oregon State, it's been the fourth quarter that's been his struggles. And you look at Mike Norvell and Florida State of the past couple years, and the fourth quarter is where they dominate. I believe that they gave up, taking away the Georgia game at the end of the year, I believe that Florida State only gave up 1 or 2 fourth quarter touchdowns the entire season. And one of them was a fluke play to Miami where the ball gets tipped, 2 defenders run into each other, and someone's screaming down the sideline. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, we'll have to see this upcoming Saturday. We'll be able to have a stamp on it whether or not DJU looks to be successful in this offense or not. But in terms of what people at Florida State are saying, everybody loves it.
So how much of a rallying cry is what went on last December when undefeated FSU didn't get in?
This is funny because Mike Norvell just talked to this to the entire staff. I mean, me as an intern included. He said that he's been going around and every interview asked, what's the slogan for this year? What's the objective that you got left out? And he said, I don't deal in bleeping slogans. Every day we try to get better. So, I mean, his objective is to get better every day, and the standard at Florida State is to be your best. So nothing has changed since last year except for, the names that you're going to see out on the field. And it's going to look different. Obviously, you lose Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, all NFL draft picks at probably the 4 most important positions as skill players on a football field. So it'll look different, but Mike Norvell's messaging and what Florida State works for has not changed since being excluded from the playoffs.
And there's no question that being a George Plaster intern has prepared you for this lofty internship.
Exactly.
What a bunch of bull. Kelly, what do you got for Butch?
Well, Butch, you just talked about it. You lost a bunch of good players. My wife loves watching Keon Coleman because I'm a former Bills, and that dude is funny. The media goes straight to him. But have y'all reloaded with guys? I mean, that's 4 dudes right there that are really good players. I mean, how has he replaced those guys?
So I think the first part that has to be addressed here is there is no replacing Keon Coleman. I mean,
Yeah,
Keon Coleman was the best receiver. I mean, in terms of just single seasons, looking back 2013, Kelvin Benjamin, and then before that, maybe even looking back to Peter Warwick, how he made explosive plays as a receiver, as a returner, all over the field. So, I mean, there is no replacing the guys that left for the draft. But in terms of reloading, I mean, you lose one 6-year quarterback, you get another one in DJU. In terms of explosiveness and speed, the receivers this year are faster. They're faster and they're more explosive. They're not as NFL polished. They haven't, they're not as accomplished coming into the year as those 2 guys were last year. But they're strong in different ways now. The offensive line is much deeper than it was last year. It's the first time under Mike Norvell that on the depth chart, the 3-deep depth chart, no one was named twice, which, for a lot of schools might seem like, oh, well, that's every year we have that. And a lot of schools might be like, we'll never get to that. But that's a big deal for Mike Norvell and where he wants this program. The running back room is deeper than it was last year. So I think this year is going to be a little bit more reliant on the run game than last year was with explosive passes, which hopefully will lead to more consistent offense rather than kind of the boom or bust offense that Florida State had, especially later in the year, throwing a lot of vertical routes to Keon Coleman. But and this year they return a ton of defensive starters, especially in the secondary. So I think that this team is going to be more run game defense than it was explosive pass game that it was last year.
Well, talk a little bit about the defense. I mean, you lost I think his name was Jared Verse, really good player. I mean, transferred in from Albany. Nobody knew anything about him, and then he became one of the stars in the NCAA last year, even the year before. So how do you replace that, and how good are they going to be on defense?
I'm going to be honest with you. If this team isn't a top 10 defense at the end of the year, I'll be shocked.
Wow.
Because you look at across the board guys that, I mean, I think A.Z. Thomas, one of our outside corners, is going to be a guy that's going to be a top 2 round draft pick. We have another senior, Fentrell Cypress, on the other side. 2 returning outside cornerbacks that are just phenomenal. You have a safety coming back that I think is going to be, top 3, top 4 round draft pick. And then a guy that wasn't even playing last year because of the NCAA waiver was Darrell Jackson, who is just a monster in the middle at the defensive tackle position. And all of last year he wasn't allowed to play because of, like I said, the NCAA waiver. And also on the outside, you have Patrick Payton, who's already been ranked in every preseason defensive watch list, Bednarik Award watch list, best D-end watch list. And then you also get Marvin Jones Jr., legacy product from Florida State. Obviously, Marvin Jones' shade tree was incredible at Florida State, and now Marvin Jones Jr. transfers from Georgia. And it seems like every transfer that Mike Norvell brings in, they come in, they look great. This team is, like I said, deeper than it's ever been. So it might not be, a Jared Verse who's going to be a first-round draft pick, but you have a couple of guys there that, all right, he's not going great. Great, let's replace him with a guy that's just as good that might be on today. And you can do that at every position, which you couldn't say of the Florida State team from last year.
Butch, thanks for hopping on. Saturday should be fun. Like I told George earlier, I think this is the best Week 0 game we've had to this date. What are you expecting? Because Georgia Tech won 7 games last year in a season that I don't think a lot of people expected. And I'm hearing a lot of talk that watch out for the Yellow Jackets. Watch out for Tech here. It's Week 0. Never know what can happen.
Haynes King, baby.
Yeah. Are you confident that Florida State handles that one?
I mean, I have to say yes, just because I think that on paper they're the more talented team. I think Mike Norvell, while I think Brent Key is a good coach, I think Mike Norvell has him beat, and he's also had more time to build that program at Florida State than Brent Key has had at Georgia Tech. And I think when you look at Florida State's defense, their secondary, even going back to last year, when you get to the second half, you just don't complete a lot of passes against this Florida State defense. And Haynes King is a guy that he'll throw contested balls. He's not afraid to try to fit a ball into a window. And really that kind of plays to his detriment a lot of times, especially going back to last year. I thought he was a little too careless with the ball sometimes. And Georgia Tech, they honestly remind me a lot of Duke last year when Duke came out and they stunned Clemson in Week 1, and then their defense was playing really well. And now Duke's defensive coordinator from last year is with Georgia Tech now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had another good bowl game type of season. But just in terms of where Florida State is and where Georgia Tech is as a program, I think Florida State does handle this game. There's just so much experience, so much depth that I don't think that Coach Key is built up yet.
Last thing for me, the ACC is going to be interesting. Clemson is a team that people think is going to be better than last year, but we don't know for sure. You got NC State, Miami, Virginia Tech is a trendy pick to maybe sneak up and win it and get into the playoff. Who of those teams scares you the most? Is it Clemson, or is it one of those upstarts like a Tech or an NC State or even a Miami?
This will come off a little weird because the Clemson game at home, I have a little bit more confidence in than the Clemson game last year where Florida State, if the walk-on Clemson kicker doesn't miss a 20-yard field goal at the end of regulation, Florida State doesn't win that game. And then now you're looking at the end of it, no Jordan Travis, 12-1, this team definitely doesn't get into the playoffs. But, I think that the scariest game to me in the ACC, honestly, it'll be 2 road games. I think at Miami, the team will be, ready to play that game. And Florida State has dominated Miami in the last few seasons. But I think with Cam Ward and Damian Martinez, I think those guys fit Cristobal's system really well. They're going to run the ball well. Their passing game will still be a question mark, but with Restrepo and George coming back, you'd assume that they're going to be pretty good there as well. But I would say at Miami and honestly at SMU, I think SMU is a quality team. You look at last year, the teams that went from Group of 5 to Power 5 in the Big 12, BYU, Cincinnati, those teams didn't do well. Houston as well. I think only one of those 3 teams made a bowl game. So I wouldn't be surprised if they struggled, but they're bringing back their quarterback, a lot of receivers, some key defensive players. And Rhett Lashley was at Miami back when Norvell first started. So he's also gotten a peek at, some early Norvell offenses. So, I would say those 2 games, when you look at the ACC schedule, are a question mark. Obviously, Clemson, Miami, that's a rivalry. The team will be ready for that. But I think that at SMU, especially if Florida State's going in undefeated, that's a game that can sneak up on you. Just road game, middle of the year. SMU may or may not be ranked. So I think that one is one where it's, does the team wake up for that one and respond the way you want them to.
Butch, we're awake. We're ready to roll. College football is here. Get fired up, baby.
Oh, yeah. It's a long time coming.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Good talking to you. Butch Samide, way up on the Plaster intern list.
I think due to his internship here is why he already has his first degree.
How do you figure?
I was trying to make a compliment / joke, but
yeah,
you weren't
but
riding with it.
No, I think it was more joke than compliment.
I wanted you to ride with it, but
Kelly, do you know what the other 2 games are Saturday that have numbers?
George, I do not.
Are you aware that at 3:00 Montana State will travel to New Mexico, where there are still seats available?
Sections.
I was not. Is that on the Ocho?
It's on FS1.
Oh,
and
really?
then that night we have this tilt. SMU at Nevada. Anybody see Nevada a year ago? Ooh, bad.
SMU is a 30-point favorite, I think.
I'll be watching.
Here, 27.5, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, I mean, people who are betting on it clearly care.
Yeah, but
and the people that are playing in it care, Billy. I mean, relax, Francis. They got lives too, Hoss.
No one's betting Nevada in that game.
I bet you they do.
No. Nevada sucks.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a second.
Billy, you're really cynical today. You need to get popped in the mouth.
I can't really tell yet. Sometimes they'll put it out there what the nation is,
It's really funny to watch George maneuver around this iPhone that he's got with that old man finger of his. It's amazing. It takes him 50 minutes to get out one long text.
Why don't you go down to Broadway and get lost?
I don't want to go to Broadway anymore. I was down there a couple of weeks ago, and me and my wife looked at each other and said, "This is not for us anymore."
No,
get me back to Murfreesboro.
You've passed that.
Please.
Okay, we're going to open up the phones, and I want to go back to the initial conversation that we had in Kelly's Titans analysis. Both of us believe the Titans cut Malik Willis. Ultimately, when cut down date happens. I want to get your opinion. I want to kind of see if other people see it that way, if they see it differently. Whatever the case, jump in. Want to talk to you at 615-844-5600. Again, 615-844-5600. Give me your reactions to what went on Saturday night, and in particular, what you think the future is involving Malik Willis. We'll go to the break. You're listening to The George Plaster Show on 95.9 FM.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5688. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donley have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to donleytimmons.com.
15.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, I'm told we have loaded lines, so let's get this show on the road. Terry, line 1, welcome.
Afternoon, George. I want to talk about recruiting, but first I'll answer your question. They need to let that guy go and just see what else is out there for a third stringer to slip in there after all the dust settles. He's not a professional quarterback, and I mean, Kelly talked about it. I mean, he's kind of polite about it, but he's Harry High School. He doesn't need to be playing. So anyhow.
Okay.
Well, I want to talk about. I'm a 614. I'm up in that Ohio area. Unfortunately, I got sent up here, and I've never been able to get back. And I'm a little upset about this recruiting. What is going on with Tennessee taking that lineman, and now they've gone and flipped some kid from Alabama? What's going on with the recruiting down there?
Yeah, David Sanders, I think the best offensive tackle in the class. Committed to Tennessee.
Number two overall recruit in the country. Ohio State was counting on him.
Yeah, that's a good question because I think Tennessee has really revamped their NIL. I mean, they're paying guys just like everybody else, but I think they're being really strategic and smart about it. They're not just going out there and paying every player. They're looking at who they want, and they're getting it. I mean, they got the best quarterback in each class, it looks like, and Kelly, now they got the best or second best player in the class and best offensive tackle. I just think they're being strategic about it, and they have a sell.
This morning, I was listening this morning to King, and he said that Alabama, it got their attention. They really wanted that kid, this linebacker they flipped this weekend. Well, I mean, what is going on?
It's something.
It's all about money, Terry. Is what's going on. That's really what it boils down to.
Well, I mean, nobody's got more money than Ohio State and Alabama now. I mean, I know Haslam can't run a pro football team. Maybe he's buying every college kid or whatever. But this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot about money, but I mean, you have to have a general selling point too. I mean, recruiting to Tennessee right now is pretty easy. I mean, they just won a baseball national title.
What have they done? I mean, what have they done? They got their butt kicked by Florida last year. I mean, what South Carolina took them behind the woodshed the year before. I mean, what have they done?
That's a
well,
good counterpoint.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Terry. I don't know. I think we've gotten to the point in our society with all this NIL stuff. I don't think kids. It doesn't matter to them anymore. I don't think they care about tradition. I just think they care about, hey, can I get paid? Who's going to pay me more? I mean, that's what kids look at. I mean, you got kids going into, you got coaches going in these houses, and I've heard from firsthand, the parents don't even talk about school anymore. They're talking about how much they can get paid, and then they just look at it as, if I can get there and I can play well and I can make some money, then I can get to the next level. That's what people are thinking about, and I don't like it, but that's the way it is.
Wow. Well, I'm just shocked. I mean, they just haven't done anything forever. I mean, they're beating out, the Blue Bloods. I mean, they didn't get anybody from Georgia just yet, but I mean, you take them from Ohio State and Alabama, they must have a lot of cash.
Yeah, you're into some high cotton. There's no doubt about that. Terry, thank you.
All right, friends.
Okay, that leaves a line open. I want somebody to jump on that line for whatever you want to get into, but I also want to get some opinions on what we threw out there earlier about Malik Willis. 615-844-5600. That is the number. Tony in Nolensville, you are up next.
Hello, George. Hello, everybody. About the Willis thing, George, cut him loose. Let's cut the guy loose. Let me go find somewhere else to play. I just don't understand. If you're going to keep him, he's going to be your scout team, that is called, or your practice squad quarterback. He don't move the needle to me. And I've talked to so many other people, he don't move the needle for anybody. And what I watched the other night with him, George, Watson talked about this 2 years ago about him in his rookie season. He holds the ball too long. Is that right, Kelly? Are you seeing that? Hello?
Kelly?
We lose Kelly?
No, I couldn't hear him, man. I really couldn't. Sorry.
He talked about the fact that Watson has been saying this for a couple of years, that he holds the ball too long. And we've all, yeah, we've all seen it. Look, I think some of it is a product of what he was allowed to do at Liberty, which was a lot of freewheeling. And then when he got here, Tony, in all fairness, I don't think he was coached very well in that first year. And
yeah, well, that's what happens, George. Though when you're in college, I just said this on the segment we were talking about, but you can do there's things that you can do in college that you get to the pros you cannot do, and sometimes college guys don't translate to pros, and that's kind of what it seems. I mean, I think he's a great athlete, but I don't know. There's just something missing. He wants to see guys open. Before he throws the ball. It seems like he's timid with throwing the ball instead of letting it rip. He's got to make sure that the guy's totally open. And you're not going to get that much in the National Football League, especially with the way that these defensive linemen rush you. I mean, you don't have much time because these guys are getting better. They're getting bigger. They're getting faster. They're getting stronger. You don't have much time. So you better know what your guy's doing, and you better get rid of the football. And I just think he struggles with that.
Your comparison with Tebow was very interesting. I had not thought about that one.
It is. I mean, that's what Tim Tebow, that's what he did. I mean, he just held the ball too long. Did that in college, though.
Can I bring up another topic real quick, George?
Absolutely.
There is a story out there, Billy, I don't know if you've seen it, by a longtime radio sports guy, George, you might know him, named Greg Swaim.
Yep. I've seen the article.
About the super conference that could be in the talks of being put together. So with Vanderbilt being omitted and the other schools that they're talking out of the Big Ten and the ACC, would in fact, if this did form, would they be forming their own conference? Along with taking in a couple of those two that are left out there on the Pac-10. I'm going to let y'all talk about that, and you bring it up, George. Obviously, Kelly's having a little problem hearing me today, but I'd like for y'all to talk about that.
So what he did, he wrote an article basically saying that he believes it will ultimately be a 32-team super conference kind of setup. And in that 32 teams, he says that Vandy is the one team out of the SEC that will be left out. He lists Indiana, Maryland, Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, and Northwestern as teams in the Big Ten that don't make it.
Really?
That's probably what's going to happen. I'm still slightly skeptical that it does because, I mean, I don't know that we have any proof that it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be stunned. I'll say that.
So who are the 30? Did we have the 32 teams? Who are the 32 teams, the 32 schools that are going to get in? Do we know?
Let me see if I can. I'll go a little bit farther. This is not quite what you're looking for. Syracuse, Duke, Wake Forest. This is according to him. Syracuse, Duke, Wake Forest, Boston College, Stanford, Cal, and SMU would be the teams in the ACC that get cut. Arizona State, TCU, Baylor, Houston, and Cincinnati would be the Big 12 teams that, in his theory, get left behind. First of all, who knows whether it happens? Now,
right?
Do I think they're going to some level of something like this? Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 32, do I think Vandy makes the cut? Hell no. No, I don't. And in the end, if that were to be the case, it would be 30 years of sitting on their ass doing absolutely nothing. You know, it's only been in the last couple of years that we've seen a shovel in the ground. You know, this stadium needed help 30 years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, 32, Vanderbilt's certainly not make if it's 32 teams.
Now, I think
there's a lot of other teams that wouldn't make that cut either.
I hear a lot more of 48.
A 48-team super conference?
No, just 48 schools that ultimately are, quote, the big boys.
So split that into a couple of different conferences and then...
Or 3. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? That's true. I don't know where this is going. I don't think anybody knows where it's going. I just think it's getting played out right before our eyes. But, like, you know, if he's right, like, what do you do with the Marylands and the Dukes and all those? Like, what do you do with those schools? Like, what are they going to do?
Well, again, it's a little bit like what do you do right now with the group of 5 that have been left essentially as roadkill?
Yeah, but those are group of 5 schools.
Well, okay, meaning what?
I mean, Kelly just mentioned those have been Power 5 schools in big-time conferences.
Well, I got news for you. The school that you love
I'm not talking.
Feels like group of 5.
I'm not talking about
if you
just
take
Vandy.
the words SEC out, what
like,
is Vandy?
You're acting like every other school similar to Vandy is chopped liver too. I'm talking about that group. Like,
but I said, what about the group of 5? And you don't seem to care one way or the other that they're being left out.
Group of 5 is not the same as the Power 5.
Well, that's your opinion. But if you're sitting as one of those group of 5 and you're being screwed over, how do you feel?
Not good, but it's all. I mean,
but it's okay because it's what?
It's the financial difference of the group of 5 schools and this was always going to happen.
There are a group of 5 schools that can kick the crap out of some of these schools.
There's some pretty good group of 5 schools, man. I'll be honest with you. I just don't understand how it's going to work. I mean, I don't think I just said it. All of us don't understand how this is going to work. But, like, if you're the teams that get left out, I mean, if they have this super conference in, say, 5-10 years, are they going to leave the NCAA behind and say, hey, we're not going to go by your rules anymore, by your bylaws? And then if they do, then does the NCAA take over the Marylands, the Dukes, the Wake Forest, the Boston College? Like, where does that go? I mean, is that where we're headed, do you think?
By the way, we have late word from Chip Walters that you're off his Christmas card list.
Who, Billy or me?
No, Billy is.
Oh, William? Yeah, he's off everybody's Christmas card list. Who cares?
Let's go to the break. By the way, if you want to comment on it, feel free to. My whole point is I don't like the fact that all of these schools are being lumped into either you're the chosen one or you're not.
Right.
It feels like, fraternity rush week.
But there's going to be so much bickering whenever this happens. It's going to be ridiculous. This split that everybody's talking about is not going to be as seamless as some people think.
No, and it's not going to be pretty.
No, which is why it probably will take a while for it to actually happen when it does.
615-844-5600 is our number. How many lines we got open?
2.
We've got 2 that are open. I want to see somebody load up and get on with us. We're back after this. As you might be able to tell, my buddy Stan Harrison, he's an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, but he's actually here to talk about Apple Collision Centers.
Hello, Middle Tennessee. I'm Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers, and we understand the stress it causes in having an automobile accident. We can help you ease the stress of the auto body repair process at our 3 locations. We're conveniently located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. We've got rental cars available, we have PDR technicians available, and we have windshield technicians available. Please stop by one of our places and see us if you need our services.
And by the way, when you come in his office, this just in, he's a sports fan.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
If you're having plumbing issues, there's only one guy to call. That's Adam Whitehead. As a third-generation plumber, Adam was born and raised right here in Bellevue. Customers praise his professionalism, efficiency, and personability. Adam is known for his prompt response to emergencies and for providing high-quality repairs at reasonable prices. His expertise extends to various plumbing issues, including sink leaks, dishwasher installations, and outdoor water issues. Call him at 615-485-1534. That's 615-485-1534.
We are back. And let's head back to the phones, shall we? Eric in Nashville. Eric, what's going on?
Hey, George, I believe you're right. I definitely think Malik is probably gone. And I think they're probably going to go with just two quarterbacks because of needs at other positions, or if they do have a third one, it's probably be on the practice squad. Whether or not it'll be him again, I don't know. But I think the decision will probably be made after this game. Whether or not he'll get playing time, I don't know, because I've heard Callahan wants to play starters, which is understandable because they didn't play last week, and the season opener is 2 weeks from Sunday, and you don't want to have your players not having any game action for more than a month, which, this would be if that happened. So, but as far as his play Sunday, it's like I said, I've heard everybody said, Saturday, his play, he was good in practice, but he showed, flashes of it, and it was just one thing that's frustrating, George, if you notice the pattern. The first three drives, they didn't score anything, but he was great on the first play of the first three drives. First play of the first drive, he threw a 15-yard pass. The second drive, the first play of the second drive, he threw, I think it was a 7-yard pass. And then the third drive, the first play, he had a huge run. But then they would get bogged down, or he would have some flash of plays, but they either had stuff like a penalty, like false start or whatever. He got sacked. Ball was in the receiver's hands, and it dropped it. I don't know if it's his fault or the receiver's fault. There was another play where there was a receiver wide open, and I don't know what the deal was with that. I think he overthrew him or miscommunication, whatever it was, where it could have had a huge play on that, but wasn't able to connect with him. And whether it was fair or not, of course, had late in the game where he had the interception, but the ball was tipped. Seattle goes down and get a field goal, but then Mason Rudolph, of course, just takes the team down, and they score a field goal to kind of win the game. And of course, Malik's a more talented and a better arm, but it's just things like that don't help his case. Another thing, and whether it's fair or not to him, this is going to be the third different offensive system that he's had since he's been with the team. And that certainly doesn't help. That's taken into account. But in NFL, of course, it's what have you done for me lately? So all those factors, I think, don't help his case.
I want to get Kelly in the middle of this. Kelly, how big a deal is that last stat, the three different people that are your offensive coordinator in 3 years?
It does have an effect, George. It really does. But I've said it on the show before. I mean, everybody wants to make, hoopla of, it's different. It's that, there's only so many ways that you can call a curl route. It's either a curl, a stop, a pivot, a button. You've got to figure out the terminology in each offense. And it is a little different sometimes. And then sometimes when I was at Indianapolis, we had a run check, along with a pass. So we had 3 plays in one. So sometimes that gets, you got to understand what you're doing. You got to understand if you want the run or you got to understand when to throw the pass. And if you got an offense like that, sometimes guys struggle with that. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's a lot of checks in that offense. A lot of coaches now have gone away from the checks. I remember when I was playing in Minnesota, and there was a time where, we had slants outside and we had flats from the 2 inside guys, and they played cover 2, and then I was unable to check the ball or to check the play, so I took 3 steps and I threw it straight up in the stands like Tom Moore taught me 10 years earlier, because I was not allowed to make a check. So it just depends on what system he's in, but that can have an effect on you because terminology can get a lot, and some guys cut the terminology down. But the John Grudens of the world, want to tell everybody in the huddle what to do. The offensive line, obviously, you got to give them protection, but you got to tell the Y what he's doing, the X and the Z, the slot guy, the running back. So that's a lot of words to try to get in 40 seconds, and it has an effect.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sometimes I guess it can be, I was going to say it can be how you study and all that type of stuff, because I remember, of course, Josh Dobbs, when he got here, basically came off the street and he picked up the offense in, I guess it was 10 days. I also remember a couple years ago, I guess it was, and I've forgotten about this, where it was, I'm drawing a blank already on the quarterback at Tampa Bay, that when he was drafted by the Rams and picked up that all, not drafted by the Rams, but he got picked up by the Rams. Yeah, Baker Mayfield. I'm sorry, drawing a blank on his name. Unfortunately, you get old, you get forgetful sometimes. Yeah, Baker Mayfield, basically in 48 hours, was able to pick up the offense for the Rams. Started from, I guess, in a Thursday night game against the Raiders and beat them, led them on the late drive. So sometimes it can be coaches, the system, or just some quarterbacks are able to pick up systems better than others or a lot quicker. But we'll see what happens. Guys, good to talk to you. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
So, Kelly, I didn't think this part of it through, but here goes. Is there a scenario where Callahan says to him, look, we got one of two choices here. We can flat out cut you, or we can keep you here and put a package together of stuff, but the concept that you're going to be a quarterback, not very likely.
I don't, George. I mean, that's a tough decision, man. I mean, they may have that talk. I don't know. There's some guys that can do it, and Malik Willis, I think, is one of those guys that can do it. I couldn't do it. I'm just a quarterback. I couldn't run like he does. I mean, I could, when he takes off running, he's talented, man. He really is. Like, he's got speed. He can fly. There's things that you can do with him as an offensive coordinator. You got to get innovative, but there are things that you can do. But I just don't know. Like, quarterback, he's been there for 3 years. This is his third training camp, and although he has gotten better, I don't think he's gotten significantly better. And I just think that's who he is, because he doesn't anticipate throws. You have to anticipate throws. And then the pros, you have to be accurate, George. You can have a guy running on a drag route across the field. If you throw it on his back shoulder and you make him turn, he's going to get tackled. If you throw it in front of him, which is literally, a ruler size, if you throw it in front of him, he can pick up 15 yards because he can outrun people. That shows you how accurate you have to be in the National Football League.
What if you were Brian Callahan who went to Malik and said, what would you think about being a flex tight end / receiver? What do you think Malik Willis would say?
I'd be all in.
I think it depends on what he thinks his chances are of getting picked up elsewhere.
I don't think they're very high.
I don't think they are either. I think, other teams watch this stuff. They see the same thing we're seeing.
Yeah. I mean, he's put in his time, it feels like, as a quarterback. And I could be wrong. Maybe he does improve, but I mean, I feel like we've seen enough to where you can go, let's put you in that slot and, run a little slant route, see what you can do.
But there are coaches out there that say, hey, it's just like college coaches to high school coaches. They say,
yeah.
They didn't teach him right. I can coach him. I see something there. I can coach him. That's the ego of some of these guys, man. I'm going to tell you, it's out there.
Yeah.
But it might also not be wrong.
Yeah.
It's true. True.
I'm trying to think
More
of a
than
quarterback.
one way to skin a cat. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a quarterback that you could mold that is similar to Malik right now, that you think maybe Malik can be that because he's got those traits. And I'm kind of struggling to find that quarterback.
I'm with you, Billy.
Well,
I can't think of that.
It was at one point Tim Tebow.
Yeah, we saw how that ended up.
Yeah, but in fairness to Tebow, he won playoff games in the National Football League.
Yeah.
He did. He's a tough kid, man. He really did. But you just, he was a college guy. He just wasn't accurate enough in the pros, and he just didn't have that. He had that long release. Sam White, the late Sam White, which was my coach, worked with him a little bit, and he was like, he can play. He can do it. He had to work with him a little bit on his, on his arm talent. But, he just was one of those guys, kind of like Malik, who he just didn't anticipate stuff enough, and you got to get better with that in the national. If you're playing pro football, you have to anticipate where a receiver's going to be, where the defense is, and you have to throw that ball sometimes without him even turning yet. You have to know that, hey, if I'm throwing a curl route and I'm getting pressure, I can't sit here and hold it. I got to throw it because I know what he's doing. Malik is just not that guy.
After the break, I'll make you some money. Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next.
Good afternoon. Still with the extra traffic volume trying to get out through the Antioch area. Moving better than it was 10-15 minutes ago from that crash we had on 24 eastbound at Bell Road. It was out there long enough to jam up all that traffic that was headed out into Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. Still some volume out there on 40 East at 840 just outside of Lebanon and Wilson County. Lots of radar out here. Give yourself extra time. Whether you need a new roof repair, roof inspection, independent roofing specialist, they've got you at irsroofs.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. A letter in your mailbox says you could save money bundling your home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. You saw it after your teenager backed the car into the mailbox. Dumb news. A new mailbox, basically a box on a stick, costs up to $400. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and go with paperless mail instead. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
Get set.
The Summer Games record for the women's 100-meter dash is 10.49 seconds. Meanwhile, you got pretty winded walking in from the mailbox this morning. But don't worry, you may not bring home the gold, but that doesn't mean you can't win a little green with instant games from the Tennessee Lottery. So unlock your inner winner today and play instant games for your chance to win gold. Cold hard cash. The Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
There aren't any cops around.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I drink and drive all the time.
If you put away some drinks, put away your keys. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Hey, this is Greg Pogue inviting you to come hang out every Saturday morning for 2 hours of shows from the iconic Roy's Meat Service in East Nashville. First at 8 o'clock, 13th season of Prep Football Talk presented by Freeman Webb with co-host Coach Bubba Spears. Then following that at 9 from Roy's, it's the return of One-on-One with Greg Pogue, also presented by Freeman Webb. That's Saturday morning at 8 with Prep Football Talk. And then One-on-One with Greg Pogue at 9, all presented by Freeman Webb from Roy's Meat Service in East Nashville.
Final segment on a Monday. Breaking news out of USC. Lincoln Riley has named Miller Moss their starting quarterback. Not a big surprise there. They did grab Jaden Mayava from UNLV. Remember, knocked off Vanderbilt last year. He's a pretty good player. But Miller Moss is the starter at USC. We'll see where Georgia's going tonight. No Braves.
A little pressure on Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, their defense got to be better.
Oh, it's got to be way better.
LSU, week one.
Not a good way to start.
No. Let's see where you're going tonight. It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. But first, see what happened over the weekend. 2-2 weekend.
Yep. Outstanding pro football work. Sucked at baseball. Very bitter.
That's your forte, George.
Wasn't this weekend. So, we got one tonight. I'm going with Kansas City at home against the LA Angels.
A lot of bets against the Angels.
The Angels suck, George.
That's why we're going against them, Kelly.
The Angels and the Red Sox.
Let me make clear what goes on here. Concept, especially if you're in Vegas and you turn in a winning ticket, they don't say, well, we pay less because the Angels suck. It doesn't work that way.
I don't need a lecture, Pops.
Well, I'm just telling you how it is.
Okay. Angels suck. Good
right,
way to go.
But I don't like the tone of this at all.
The tone.
Okay, Billy, let's end this show on a positive note. A lot of people starting to sign up to see Herm Edwards a week from today at 5 p.m. out here at Fordyce Center in Bellevue. You haven't got a lot of time to mess around with this. Simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com, and we'll reserve spaces for you. The event is free.
Kelly, be there.
I'm going to try to, man. I really am.
Well, we're excited.
Let me know if you need to find Fordyce.
Yeah, don't go to the one
here
in
we
Antioch.
go. I'm over
Well,
both of you guys today. I don't need lecture from Pops, and I want to choke you, Billy. It's daily.
Such violence. Tomorrow, Tony Basilio and Justin Mello, who has written a book about the Titans. See you tomorrow.